what's happening with SpiceJet now? Well, the airline is facing financial headwinds. SpiceJet has decided to furlough about 150 cabin crew members for 3 months. The budget carrier is operating with a reduced number of planes amid financial, legal and lesser woes. Now, currently SpiceJet has an operational fleet of around 22 aircraft. The aviation regulator, the DGCA, has said that the airline has been placed under enhanced surveillance. Sanjay, what's going wrong? Every day, you know, in the newsroom, we get stories about what's happening with SpiceJet. Of course, there have been lots of issues. And these are issues, you know, that are not just financial woes. There are performance issues. The DGCA now finally putting them under an enhanced surveillance list.
Well, Nupur, you know, first of all, I'd say I'm glad the DGCA acted, but they've acted late.
Yes.
And, you know, they should have acted with the same alacrity on which they fined Air India or gone after Indigo or Akasa. I do not see that happening in this case. I'm very blunt. I'd like to make it very clear. The problems in SpiceJet have been on the table for the last couple of months, even 6 months. So, you know, going back, delays in various payments, delays in salaries, delays in Provident Fund, delays in TDS, you know, delays in gratuity, lots of statutory payments. And these are signs that, you know, the regulator must look out for. I noticed you said 22 aircraft, but, you know, if you look very finely, they would be shy of 20 today actually operating. And, you know, they're teetering on the brink of being a non-compliant airline. And I think, you know, we need to take a long, hard look that if there is so much of financial crisis, is it going to become a safety-stressed airline? Now, you know, the owners of SpiceJet and their board can say what they want, but it's high time that they did a statutory audit. The DGCA went in and did a proper safety audit, not only observation, because observation is what you do when an airline has trouble. This has gone beyond that. Now, what is the problem is there's lack of funds. I know, you know, the owners brought in some funding, but obviously there was a bridge funding. It's not a complete funding. 2, they've had issues, you know, they've got the 737s. They were waiting for a lot of, you know, compensation to come in. That's not happened immediately. There are a lot of little niggling issues. There's a lot of employee morale. You're right. 150 cabin crew have been told they will be put on unpaid leave. Ground staff, I've got messages from ground staff. They've been told to look for new jobs. Right. So, and that's this morning. So that means SpiceJet is getting ready to downsize completely. I spoke to a pilot this afternoon who's not been paid for a couple of months, and you know, I know some who are leaving.
So there is problem and deep problem afoot over there. Let me also welcome Mr. Dhiraj Mathur. He's an aviation expert who's joining in. Mr. Mathur, good evening. Thank you for speaking to us. Mr. Mathur, you know, Sanjay and I have been discussing how badly SpiceJet has been performing. It's not just financial woes. There is trouble as far as the airline is run, how it's run. What's going wrong? And is it already perhaps too late?
Good evening, Nupur. Thanks for inviting me. Look, I think SpiceJet's fundamental problems are financial. Everything else is actually consequential. This isn't the first time it's happened. It happened in 2023, where because of financial stress, it was again after DGC audit put under enhanced surveillance. And they've always needed capital, and that is the reason why they are where they are today. Now, so as Sanjay just mentioned, the promoters did put in some money, and the board has recently approved the QIP of 3,000 crores. Let's see where that goes. The stock certainly has, the market has certainly responded favorably to this news. But unless they get that capital infusion, get their aircraft back in operation, get the maintenance, you know, and other things, issues sorted out, it will be very difficult. But fundamentally, it's a financial. They're cash strapped. They've been making losses for the last 6 years. And remember, there was the time when they had about almost 20% market share, and they were profitable. but in the last 6 years, they've been having sustained losses and all the other problems that you just mentioned.
And they seem to be very, unable to deal with this. But on a larger question, Mr. Mathur, I wanted to ask you, in fact, we've seen several of these notices being sent by the DGCA. Now, apart from SpiceJet, yesterday, CASA was also given a show cause notice. This does raise questions, A, about training standards, and B, about operational readiness. What is going wrong with all of these low-cost carriers?
Well, again, I mean, you talked about Akasa. They too, I mean, they've been around just for a couple of years. They have done well, but they too have been suffering losses. I think they've run up losses of almost 2,400 crores. But Akasa is a slightly different situation compared to to SpiceJet, simply because I think they've got a deeper pockets backing them. So, and the CEO certainly is very gung-ho about the prospects of Akasa. He expects to become profitable in about 2 or 3 years, and he's even talking of an IPO in I think 28 is what he mentioned. So, Akasa is a slightly different. Not slightly, it's completely different. I would not put it in the same bucket as SpiceJet. As regards these regulatory notices, well, it's good that the DGCA has been proactive, and as Sanjay said, I think they should have been. They're probably, as far as SpiceJet is concerned, they may have been a little indulgent a couple of years back. But I would not read too much into these regulatory notices, except for the ones that have been directed at SpiceJet. I mean, look, even Air India Express got fined for not giving compensation to passengers. Air India, the full service Air India also got fined about 90 lakh rupees for operating with underqualified or unqualified pilots. So certainly regulatory compliance issues are important. And it is important, very important for the DGCA to be proactive. Because, these are operational issues. You've got to be on your toes all the time. Regulatory compliance is not a one-off thing. It has to be part of your DNA. It's got to be, especially for an airline with all the issues associated with safety and etc.
Well, absolutely. You mentioned the one that Air India got, that, where they had to pay that 90 lakh rupee fine. Of course, that was a bit of a shocker in terms of how could the airline have, staff that was flying the airline, which wasn't, they weren't fully qualified for that. So that does raise questions about training standards, about, how operations are run. But Sanjay, coming to you, any thoughts on Akasa?
Yes, of course. I have flown Akasa and I rate it extremely highly. I have not yet gone through the entire details of the show cause notice that the DGCA has sent them. I somehow, it doesn't come across to me as an airline that's A, financially stressed, or B, that is cutting corners on safety standards. Just like I wouldn't say the same of either Indigo or even Air India or Vistara for that matter. But, we'll have to wait and see what that comes about, because I do know that they have, in fact, they're the one airline that probably has excess pilots than its requirement, because, their aircrafts have not been coming in. So I can't see them, having goofed up on training, or unless it was a, human error or something like that. I mean, we'll have to see that, but I can't see, their service standards for a low-cost airline are actually very close to a full-service carrier. They're very, very sprightly. And I look for them to become that third carrier that we need in the country, to fight off Indigo and Air India's, big duopoly. I have no two thoughts on the fact that, they will come out smelling like roses in this, in the sense they will get investors, they will grow. And it's I don't see too much of a problem there.
So perhaps,
but I'm happy the DGCA is looking so finely, like your other guest said. It's very, very interesting, very important that the DGCA must look at every airline with a microscope, because safety is not an accident. We cannot wait for
Absolutely.
accidents.
Absolutely. Mr. Mathur, quick last work. I'm running out of time, but whatever you'd
Yeah.
like to just add at the end.
No, I was just saying that as far as the notice to Akasa is concerned, it's apparently about not about completing simulated training without getting the requisite prior approval for running that training. So it isn't that they weren't doing the training. It's I think we need to hear from them to know what exactly happened. But this is what it seems. So they did have the training. It was a simulated training. But apparently there was certain pre-approvals that were mandated, which they committed to take.
All right.
But I was future for Akasa.
All right, Sanjay, Lazar, Dhiraj, Mathur, both of you gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Of course, as we are talking, hopefully we'll have more healthy competition in the airlines going forward. That's all we have time for on the big story this evening. Thank you for joining.